Hello, hello, everyone. It is Brenda here for Stamplicity, and welcome to Fun Friday. All right, so this Fun Friday, we are going to kind of look at the acetate sheets from Uniquely Creative. Now, this is a brand new item we just got in, and I am loving this. So I thought I'd show you a cute little way of using them, especially if you're a card maker. Now, they do come in 12 by 12 sheets. They're one per sheet. There are three different designs. I'm just going to grab the third design. I wasn't going to use a third design, but I should show you. All right, so there are three designs, and they're great for scrapbooking, but I love these for card making and making shaker cards. All right, so there is this one, which is the damask. All right, so it's got lovely gold foil on there. You can see that is just beautiful. Then we have, oh, I love this one. This one here is the distressed brick, I think. Oh no, just called brick. It's got a distressed look to it though. Let me just pull that there so you can see that. All right, so there is that one. And then finally we have the botanical, all right, which has got this lovely floral pattern on there. Again, all three of them are gold foiled, all right. So I'm going to show you just a fun way to create with these ones and make really great shaker cards. And we're going to be using some of the new elements from the new collections, Bohemian Escape, as well as Floral Archives. All right. So these were all January releases from Uniquely Creative. So let's get started. So I'm going to start with Bohemian Escape. All right. So I'm going to use the 6x6 collection, the paper pack. I have some shaker elements here, which are just little sequins, all right? These are the rub-ons, all right? So I'm going to show you that you can use rub-ons on the acetate sheets, all right? So these are the new rub-ons from the Boho collection, the Bohemian Escape collection. These are Boho Botanical rub-ons. And then I also have the Botanical Chronicles mini cut apart sheet. Um, there is one that goes with the Bohemian, but because there was green in these ones, I thought it would be a better match. All right, this is what I love about these sheets. So these are a sentiment sheet that's an 8.5 by 11. There is a matching die that you can place right on top of this, and it will cut those all into strips. All right. Unfortunately, my die is at the store, so I just use my paper trimmer to trim these little sentiments out. It is much, much easier with the die. I'm not going to lie, all right? Because it's just a one, you place, you turn, you get a whole sheet cut out at once. You do that 4 times, a whole page. The paper trimmer, a little bit more difficult, but you can do it with a paper trimmer. Okay, I'm going to put those to the side. And the other thing I'm going to use for this here is going to be these Polaroid frames from Uniquely Creative. All right. So there is a bunch of them. I've used them for other projects here. There are big ones and there are little ones. 5 of each size. You're going to get 5 big ones and 5 little ones. These are perfect for scrapbooking, journals, as well as card making. So I'm going to use a large one. I am also going to show you alternative for the next card on a Polaroid. All right. So we do sell all of this in the store, online and in store. So you should be able to find them. All right, so let me just get myself a little organized. So I have my Polaroid frame. Let's go ahead and grab a pattern paper or 2 to work with. All right, this paper is so pretty to work with. So because I've got some greens and golds, that one I really, really love. I think that's going to look lovely in the background. And let's see if I can find another one. Oh, that one's fun though too. All right, maybe that one. And I think I'm going to go with this one here. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with these 2 here. Now with the 6x6 paper pad, you get 3 of each. I think it's 3 of each design, or is it 2 of each design? Let me just, does it say? No, it doesn't. All right, I can't answer you that. All right, but they will have some cut aparts in there as well. You'll have some, 3x4s. You're going to have some cutaways that you can trim out. I might use that butterfly. Oh, that one's a pretty one though too. Maybe I'll use that one. Oh, the decisions. It looks like you get 2 of each, all right? So 16 papers, 2 of each design. Okay. Put that to the side. All right, so let's go ahead and cut some papers. I think I'm going to use my original 2 that I decided. All right, so I have my card base here. We're going to go ahead and trim this, and I think I'm just going to trim it exact. I'm going to trim it exact. So we'll do 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And this is going to be our card front. All right, so that's going to get matched up, and all right, that becomes our card front. So let's go ahead and attach that, and then we're going to get into the acetate. All right, so there is our card front. Now, if you wanted to, you could definitely go ahead and ink the edges of this as well. Because this has got a nice distressed kind of look to it, the inking will add to it. I didn't pull out my ink, so I'm not going to, but you definitely could do that. All right, I'm going to put that to the side. And now let's go to our Polaroid frame. Now, before I attach any acetate and such, what I want to do is I want to trim a piece that will fit behind the Polaroid frame, because we are going to make this into a shaker. So I could go ahead and use my paper trimmer. I'm just going to hold this Polaroid frame onto my paper here, and then just use my scissors to trim. It does not need to be perfect. And actually, when I do this, I slide my scissors just behind there ever so slightly, so that I don't have no edges hanging off, or will not have no edges. All right, so it's a rough cut. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be absolutely pretty, because no one is going to see it. It is just the background, all right? So I've gotten that. Okay, so now what I'm going to use the distressed brick on this one. So we've got this pattern on the back, and then we're going to be using this brick as our shaker element, our shield behind the Polaroid. So for this one here, I am going to use my paper trimmer. So for this here, I'm going to just measure this. All right, so this is 3 1/4, and you don't need to go the whole length of the Polaroid. You just need to cover that frame, right? So 3 1/4. If I do 3 1/4 by 3 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, I will be fine. So let me just open this up. And let's trim this. So 3 3/4. It's got a nice weight to this one. It's not too thin, it's not too thick, and by 3 3/4. So we've got our little acetate square. So you can see that if I were to replicate this card, because I did 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, I'd be able to get 9 cards of the same design from one sheet, which I think is really, really fabulous. All right. So let's go ahead now, and we're going to attach this now to the back of, actually 3 3/4 might have been a little too, I got to trim a little bit off. And measure that. I'm going to just take a 1/4 inch off. And that should fit now. It does. Lovely. All right. So gold foil on the one side, and on the back side, it appears silver. All right. So even if you like the silver and that would match better, you can flip that to the back side, which is pretty cool. All right. So let me grab my tape. And I'm going to use 1/8 of an inch tape. So it's on my dispenser and on my little tray here, so you're not going to see it, but I'm just going to grab my double-sided tape. And the reason why I took 1/8 is because the sides are pretty skinny. 1/4 of an inch, or my tape runner would be too wide for this. So 1/8 of an inch is perfect. So I'm just going around the perimeter of that frame on the back side of our Polaroid. All right, I'm going to take the backings off. No, I'm not. I want to show you how to do rub-ons on here. Before I do that, we're going to do rub-ons on here. Okay, so just make sure you have the orientation of your acetate the right way. And we're going to go in and add some rub-ons to the front of this, all right? So this is the cool thing about rub-ons is that you can create, and we're going to add some florals to this. So if you've never used rub-ons, they're fun, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rough cut around the ones I want to use. All right, so we're going to do that one, and then let's do this one, and then maybe that darker green one. I'm going to do 3. I'm going to create a little cluster. Now, do you need as many? No, you could do 1, you could do 2. I'm going crazy with this. All right, so I'm not sure if I've actually showed you the technique when I use my die cut machine. So I'm going to place where I want my rub-on my acetate. All right, I kind of lined that bottom of the stem to the bottom edge of my acetate. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to run this through my die cut machine. All right, just as you would if you were die cutting a die. Sorry, I have an electric one just to the left, so you won't see me doing this on camera. You heard it, but I just ran it through, and the pressure of the rollers and such, all right, is enough for the rub-on to go right on. All right, do you see that? Now I know I have my electric machine, but if I was to use my manual machine, it's the same. I've done it many, many times. And it's just wonderful that you can use the die cut machine to do that. You don't have to worry about rubbing and such. All right, so let's do our second one. I'm going to have this one coming up on the left-hand side. I'm going to place it. I'm going to do the same thing, run it through my machine. All right, so we're going to peel that off. And I always peel gently just in case something did not adhere, but these are turning out beautiful. Now, if you've used Uniquely Creative rub-ons in the past, I can't say they were fabulous, all right, but they've revamped them, all right? So they went back to the manufacturer and said, you know what, we need to revamp them, and they are wonderful now, all right? So just know that they have changed their formulation, I guess, of the rub-ons, and they go on now beautifully. All right, I'm gonna do this last one, and a lot of people don't know that you can do rub-ons on top of rub-ons. So I'm going to take this smaller, darker one, place it kind of over top both of them that I've just done, and I'm gonna run that through. All right, oh, I got a hair stuck in there. All right, so again, you want to just gently peel, make sure everything, and take a look. So now we've got this beautiful array of foliage on the front of our little distressed brick acetate. And look how beautiful that is. Oh my gosh, love it. Okay, now we can go ahead and take our Polaroid or acetate and stick it behind our Polaroid. So I'm just going to take off the backings, and then we can stick that down. All right, so again, back of our Polaroid, you're going to flip your acetate piece so that the gold is going towards my tabletop, and I'm just going to kind of center this in so that all sides attach onto the Polaroid frame, and take a look. Look how beautiful that is. Oh my gosh, I love that. So, so pretty. Okay, now we're going to make this into a lovely shaker on our card. All right. So we're going to back this up onto that lovely other background that I chose. So again, we're going to flip over our Polaroid frame, and this is a really handy thing to have, is these scrapbook adhesive strips. All right, these are thin 1/8 inch strips, perfect for card making, perfect for shakers. So we're just going to take one, and because they're so thin, they work beautifully behind this frame. And I'm just going to stick this around the perimeter now of our frame. So when you do your foam, you want to make sure you have no gaps. You don't want any holes that your shaker elements can fall through. Now I'm using sequins, so they're pretty large, but if you were using, a chunky glitter, you don't want to have any openings where that chunky glitter could fall out, because that would be awful. All right, so I've just kind of built a little wall around my inside frame, and I'm just going to add another piece of foam adhesive just at the bottom of that Polaroid so that it's all, level and will stand nicely on our piece of paper here. All right, so I'm going to now take this off. And before you stick that backing on, we're going to put the shaker pieces in here. And like I said, I just grabbed some sequins. There was a goldy kind of reflective holographic gold that kind of worked with this color palette. So it was just in my stash. So I'm just going to put those in. All right, and I like to spread them out just so that they're not overlapping and they're not going to get stuck. All right, I want to make sure they're not stuck onto the foam adhesive because we've taken the backings off. See, that one's stuck on there, so I just want to move that. All right, and once you have that, then you can take your backer piece and you can line that up. And then give it a good push down around where you put the foam tape and take a look. Look how fun that is. I love the printed acetate. So much fun. All right, so we've got a nice little shaker element now ready. And this would work for the front of an album. You could put this in a journal, on your layouts. And I love it on a card. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to place this on the card. All right, so I don't think I'm going to pop it up. It's already got enough dimension, so I'm just going to use my tape runner. And I always put a little extra. It's a shaker, right? It's got a little extra weight on there. And I'm going to put this at an angle and I'm going to kind of push it down towards the bottom. I want that kind of top. I've got a little floral and I've got the word postcard kind of on the top there. So I'm just going to stick that down. All right. And now I'm going to go ahead and find my sentiments. All right, I think I'm going to do birthday wishes. And I feel like I need a piece of, whether it be a butterfly, up in this area to give it a little bit of dimension. So I'm going to see what else I have from this collection. So I'm going to go into my little ephemeras from here. All right. So this has already been opened, but these are one of those creative cuts. And I think I'm going to snag some of these beautiful florals. That one's a little too big. There's a butterfly. Oh, there's a smaller one too. So let me just add some of these creative cuts on here. So let me just see what else is here. Oh, this one's pretty. Ooh. Nope, I think that one is still. Sorry, I was not planning on using these ones, but changed my mind. No, I still like this one. I like the softness of this one. Okay, I think that will work. Okay, so I'm going to take my little floral cluster here and I'm going to pop this up. So I'm going to be tucking things behind it. So I'm just going to grab a few of those square, smaller pop foam adhesives, and I'm going to center them or put them more in the center. And then I'm going to have this so that's kind of in this bottom corner of our Polaroid. But then I grabbed some of these singular flowers and I can tuck these behind now. So I'm going to just kind of build that floral cluster up. And that's why I wanted to keep those foam adhesives closer to the center, because I knew I was going to tuck things in. So I'm going to grab my little sentiment, birthday wishes. And this one here, we're going to go kind of, I'm going to go right about here. And then I'm going to take this little guy here and tuck it under. And I'm going to cover kind of this where the sentiment is starting. So we just have that sentiment coming out from that cluster of florals. Look how pretty that is. All right, now let's do our butterfly. Now, do we do a big one there and then do a small one? Oh, I think so. All right, so let's do a, oh, this is beautiful. We're gonna do this. Now, do I want to foam? I'm gonna use foam on this butterfly. So I just put a little strip kind of in the center. This way we can still kind of fold up his wings a little bit. And then I'm going to put this kind of in the top right. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the smaller butterfly. A little bit of piece of foam. And then we're going to stick that in amongst that cluster. All right, so there is our finished little Polaroid card using that acetate. And again, this is all from the Bohemian Escape collection from Uniquely Creative, except for the little sentiment strip. That came from, I forget the other one. It came from the Botanical Chronicles, all right? The cut apart sheet. But how pretty is that? All right, we're going to put that to the side and let's make another one. So this one here, I'm going to show you an alternative. There is an actual die that you can get from Spellbinders that does a Polaroid. It's a little bit smaller, but it is a wonderful die. I use it over and over again. But I wanted to show you the option of the Uniquely Creative Polaroid frames that are already pre-cut, and you get the two sizes, whereas, let me just tidy this up. Whereas the Spellbinders one's a little bit smaller and you're only going to get the one size. So this is the size of it. And I'm just going to kind of bring the original card over so you can see it's much smaller. All right, so it's called Memory Frames, and it came out with the whole Pooh Bear collection when Spellbinders first came out, but it's just a great one. You get a label, you get a little postage stamp with it. It's a strong die, so we're going to use it on this one, this card, just to show you the difference, all right? So for this one here, I am going to use the botanical one. All right, so put that to the side. I'm going to use that, and then I'm going to use the collection new one from Floral Archive. So this is a brand new collection as well from Uniquely Creative from January. All right, I've got the creative cuts here as well, and we're going to do an embossing folder in the background. All right, so pretty. I'm going to start with doing my embossing. All right, so where is my, I had a piece of cardstock here and it has gone missing. There, nope, there, I don't know. We'll grab another one, no worries. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and emboss this here. So this one here is the embossing folder E3D 101. I don't know the name of it. It is a beautiful one. It is 5.5 by 8. It's got this wonderful kind of framed blank area in the center of it. A lot of people are put off by these ones. I like these ones because sometimes when I'm putting elements like this Polaroid shaker on there, it's going to cover that framed piece. So I just kind of position it So I get all that beautiful texture and the florals. I'm not too concerned about this because I know it's going to be covered. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and emboss this. All right. So again, my embossing um, machine is just to the left here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Now this is a 3D embossing folder, so I got to make sure I have the correct sandwich. All right, so let's take a look. Look how pretty that is. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, so, so pretty. And again, any floral background will work because we're going to be covering a lot of this. Now, I am going to trim this down so that it's 4 by 5 1/4 because we're going to mat this onto a card front. So I'm going to cut a little bit from the top. And I have to do that again. My blade is getting a little dull. I did not cut through that. And I'm going to cut a little from each side. So this becomes 4. So this panel now is 4 by 5 1/4. All right, we still got that lovely design on there. Okay, so we're going to need a backing and we're going to need the inside of our frame here. I have this kind of iridescent sparkle, so I thought that kind of worked there. Again, we're going to be using the floral, so we've got to make sure whatever we have is going to show nicely. So that would actually work if I actually took that top piece there. It's actually really, really pretty. Do I just go with that one? Ooh, this paper is really pretty, guys. As you can tell, I haven't seen it yet. Oh, this one is, ooh, there's bumblebees in here. I think I'm going to go with that one. Let's do it. Okay. So again, I'm just going to kind of position my frame. I like these kind of florals here. So, and again, I'm just going to bring my scissors here and I'm just going to do kind of a rough cut. As long as it fits behind that frame, I am happy. I got to cut just a little bit more off. Okay, so there is that. And then we're going to go ahead and cut our acetate. Sorry, I've got such a mess going on here. So this one again is the botanical foil. And just like the other one side is gold. That's got the gold foil, but if you flip to the back side, it's silver. Okay, so let's measure what this is. This is the inside piece. So if I do 2 and 3, let's go, if I go, I'm just using my measurements on my grid here. So if I do a 3 by 3, we should be good. So with this one, if we're doing a 3 by 3, you'd be able to get 12 cards from this one. All right, so there is that. Okay, so we're not going to do no rub-ons on this one. This one's pretty busy, so we can just go, look how pretty that is, all right? So we can go ahead and just attach that piece of acetate behind our Polaroid frame now. So again, I'm going to use my 1/8 of an inch tape. So again, I'm just going through around the perimeter of that inside frame. So we can go ahead, take the backings off and attach our acetate now. All right. Now, because I moved my acetate in a little bit, I have a little bit that's hanging over on this edge. So I'm just very carefully going to take my scissors and just trim off that excess. I should have had it flushed. All right, so there is our acetate piece. Lovely. Okay, so now let's go ahead and add our background. Look how pretty that is. All right, so we've got, I'm wondering if I should have the florals coming from the top. No, I have like them from coming from the bottom. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and build our little shaker box now. All right, so again, foam tape is gonna be your friend, and we're going to go do the same thing as we did with the adhesive. We're kind of going to go around the perimeter of that inside frame, making sure there are no gaps. All right, my last piece. And then I'm also going to put one at the base of that Polaroid frame, just so that everything is level. So I'm just going to use these little odds and end pieces here. All right. Now I'm going to take the backings off. Now, you probably ask why I'm taking the backings off before I put the sequins in. Because sometimes when I put the sequins in first and then try to take the backings off, I just make a mess with my sequins. So I take the backings off, lay this down flat, and then sprinkle my sequins in the center. I just find it easier that way. Now the sequins I'm using, both are from Spellbinders. I like them because these ones are kind of a clear iridescent ones, which are cool. I have way too many in there. Way. I either put too much or too little. Okay. Again, I want to make sure nothing is stuck to the edges. I want to make sure things are laying quite flat and not you know, on top of one another and creating a lot of bulk in there. They can overlap, but I like to spread them out just so that I know that they're going to shake nicely. All right, so I've got that all in, and now I'm going to take my backer piece and we are going to stick this down. And then give it a good burnish where it's hitting the foam adhesive. And there we go. Oh, so pretty with those iridescent ones in there. Sorry, I know I'm shaking the camera, but how pretty is that? Okay, so we are good to go now. Now, this is going to be more of a white on white kind of look. So we're going to take our little Polaroid, and we're going to actually, I'm going to just kind of offset it just a little bit closer to the bottom, and at an angle. Although I could center it. I like it at an angle, but I could center it. Okay, we're going to center it. All right, look how pretty that is. So I'm going to grab my tape runner. And again, I'm going to go a little bit more with the adhesive because it is a shaker. There's a little bit of weight to it. Okay, and I think I'm good there. All right, look how pretty. Now I have a choice. Either I can mount this on, you know, a lovely piece of paper that's going to bring out kind of those blues and greens. Let's see what they have here. I do have the matching core. Oh, this one would be good. All right, so this one would be really nice to put on there. We still get that white on white kind of look. I could do it on that, or I could grab another piece of cardstock and put it on white, which might be just as nice. But I'm going to embellish this a little bit. So I'm going to go into the creative cuts for this from this collection. It's pretty bright. All right. But I think it's going to stand out nicely on this shaker. So let me just grab a tray. And let's dump this out. There's also sentiments in here that I think I'm going to use. So let's just see. I love these creative cuts because you get two of everything. All right. So, oh, see, that punch of color is just lovely. So I think I'm going to go white on white as the base. And then we will, though I got to find the right white because I grabbed a panel that was a different color. Sorry, I just dropped all my cardstock panels. I have all my cardstock panels already pre-cut in a container. Um, and I have a couple of odds and ends that are not my normal Nina Solar White, and they're just a slightly different shade of white, believe it or not. So that's better. Now it's kind of tone on tone. There we go. Okay, let's see what else I can enjoy the little things. Ooh, little dragonfly. He's pretty. Usually it's always butterflies in these creative packs, but oh, here's some little sentiments. Happy birthday. This is a nice pack. I love this one. All right. Do we want a green happy birthday maybe? Sorry, I have to take a look at all the things. All right, I think I'm going to go with my, I don't know if that was the original one. I don't think it was. Thought it was a smaller one. There's a beautiful butterfly too. Ooh, that one might be better. I like the dragonfly, but because it's the same color tones as my florals, I think I'm going to go with that. All right, so maybe these were the little ones I had? No, that one's too little. So kind of the same design as our first one in terms of, but I don't think I need extra floor. Well, maybe. I like all, I like all the layers. Just saying. Sorry, I've got to take a look at it all. See what the singular flowers here. Well, there's even a little beetle. I don't know if he's really nice, but I like the color of him. All right, let's just commit to what I have. All right, let's do it. Okay, so I'm going to start with this piece and we're going to pop this up in that corner. Again, I'm going to keep my foam adhesives to the center of this. All right, and I'm going to angle it so that I can get my little happy birthday across that. And I'm kind of keeping everything in terms of my florals on the panel itself. All right, I know I still have to layer this onto the white card, but we want to make sure we have that all kind of within the constraints of the card. All right, so I had to move mine up a little bit. Okay, so there's that. Let's grab our little happy birthday and let's glue that. Okay, I'm gonna put that one there. And actually, I'm just going to put the glue right on the frame because I know that's where it's going to hit. All right, and that's going to go there. And then I think this purple one we're going to have on the bottom here. And this one I'm going to put a little foam square behind. And we're going to tuck that in, lots of dimension. All right, so there is that. So pretty. And then I'm going to use the butterfly only because I think that blue is just bringing in too much blue on here. I like this butterfly because it brings in all the colors. So we're going to put a little foam adhesive behind that one. And we're going to stick that in that top corner. Oh my gosh, so pretty. All right, that's where he's sticking. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the whole panel now and put it onto my card front. And I'm just going to frame that in. Oh my goodness, so pretty. And there is our second card using that printed acetate from Uniquely Creative. How fun is that? Okay, let me just clear some space here. Let's bring both of them back to show you both cards. So again, we've used the printed acetate. We've got the brick and we've got the botanicals here. Both are using Polaroid frames. This one here, the larger one, was a pack from Uniquely Creative. There are two sizes. This is a large size, and then there is a smaller size as well. You get 5 of each, or you can opt for the Spellbinders memories. What is it called? Memory frames die. All right, and that is just one size. All right, this one here we put on pattern paper to kind of coordinate with the creative cuts in ephemera that's on here. This one here we did more of a white on white with a splash of color. All right, so we did use the pattern paper in the background. It's just kind of, it's very subtle, but it's there and it's just kind of pulling it all together, which is really, really pretty. All right, but just a really fun way of using the printed acetate if you are a card maker. Hope you like them, and I hope you enjoyed this fun Friday. All right, everyone, that is it for me. Until next time, you have yourself a creative day.